Hello, this is Dreams with Jam. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be touring a little bit of a build in Mythopia today. If you do like this video, I would really appreciate you dropping a like at the end. That really does help me out. And if you haven't yet or want to make sure that you have hit that subscribe button and bell to get notified when there's new content. Okay, so I have made kind of a Greek inspired build over in Mythopia. This is right in front of the entrance to the final trial. So we're going to head up, and this first section here is going to be inspired by kind of an amphitheater or forum. I've used a lot of the temple buildings, but most of the items that you see in here are premium shop items. They were grouped together, so you're going to see all of them right when we walk in here. The arches, the fountains, the Phil statue, and the arches. They are gorgeous items, really, really fun to play with. You can configure them into all different kinds of things to make like little tunnels, or like I've done here, which we will see at the end in kind of an overview. So right away, this is set up to be kind of like a forum or like a senate, you know, where you would go to make speeches or whatnot in real history. So I'm going to show you a couple photos just from my Rome trip here. This is actually a kind of temple area, or it would have been an area where the Senate would have met, but this is actually the place where Caesar was murdered and stabbed by his fellow senators. And this is a picture of the Roman Forum. You can see it's a very large complex. Think of it kind of like the Washington Mall. So there would have been government buildings, you know, shopping, etc. It would have been a large complex. It still is a large complex, and a lot of it does survive, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, and we're just going to talk about the fact that the grass pokes through as you walk. We're going to ignore that. So I'm going to ask you to just ignore the little yellow things that pop up as we take a walk through. I've used rocks with the white petals underneath to go back to a mining node here. I kept this building pretty much very just looking like a white marble building, a little bit of mosaic tile here and there, but for the most part I wanted to keep it very open, very, you know, that white marble looking through. It's interesting, you know, we talk about white marble, but, you know, generally speaking, things were white. We say that they're white marble only because that's how they were unearthed back in the day when they were first discovering these ruins. The buildings themselves probably wouldn't have been so white. They would have been brightly colored and painted just like we would paint our buildings today. Okay, so this side of the river is a continuation of the temple complex, but much more on the temple side as opposed to an amphitheater side. Very garden-esque, fountains, places to sit, have a snack, gossip with your friends, etc. Here's the exit off into crossing the bridge to go over into the Ever After. Okay, and then you can see this kind of centerpiece fountain here, which it's probably one of my favorite builds. I got this idea actually from Opal, so I will drop a link to her in the description down below. If you haven't checked out her builds before, she does really fantastic builds, but she did kind of a centerpiece with these fountains, and I kind of wanted to try that out for myself, so I did that here. This is set up to be kind of like an offering, you know, offering to the goddess Venus or whoever it would be. So they would have left things like coins or food items, etc. These are the new fountains that we got with the Aladdin and Jasmine update, but I really liked them in this build. I like how they add a kind of a pop of blue in with all this pink and white. And then I just used that pebble tile underneath to simulate water. I could have used water rugs, but I kind of like, personally, I do use water rugs, but I like the pebble underneath as well sometimes. It just adds a little bit of dimension. This marble fencing, These are all, those are Storybook Vale items, as well as the mosaic tiles. Those are things that you can craft. Okay, so we're gonna head out here, and then let's switch to nighttime and take a little tour through the evening and see how it looks with all of the fire pots glowing. I loved using these Beauty and the Beast fire pots. I hope they kind of introduce more items like that to give it more of that old ancient feel, as opposed to, like, you know, your gas or electric light. You can see the Greek columns, the benches. These cypress trees are probably, well, and the flower bushes. Let's just say a lot of the Storybook Vale foliage that we got is just top tier. I hope they continue down that path, because honestly, the foliage is sometimes used more in my builds than the actual items I would get from Scrooge or the Premium Shop. Well, obviously, Premium Shop is going to be heavily featured in this Greek build, but I absolutely love the foliage from Storybook Vale. I think that's worth the price of the DLC, in my opinion. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me for this little tour through Mythopia here. I really enjoyed creating this build. It was a lot of fun. It took a long time, because getting things to line up in Dreamlight Valley, as you know, is a task in and of itself. But I like how it turned out. I hope you did too. Thank you so much for joining me today. We've got some really exciting things coming up, so I hope that you come back. Thank you so much again, and keep on dreaming.